beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. I guess you can call it a podcast. You guys, we are here today to talk about Real Housewives of Atlanta. Now, was I entertained? Barely. Barely. It wasn't great, you guys. I mean, it was there, but it wasn't great. I'm not gonna lie, I was happy when it went off. Maybe I'm just a complaining Jane because Real Housewives, not Real Housewives, Married to Madison. Sorry, Phil, but it just was not giving once again. So I was like, you know what? Even though it's still on, fuck it. Let me just start this review because it's not giving me anything, and I'm so disappointed. Oh my God. Loved Married to Medicine, and this whole season just a huge disappointment. But anyway, I would like to say welcome to my new subscribers. Thank you so much for subscribing. It is a huge deal to me. I definitely appreciate you. If you have not already subscribed, please consider subscribing. Those of you that have subscribed, I forgot to say welcome to the beautiful people family. We are more than happy to have you be a part of the BPs. And let's get to it. Let's talk about it, y'all. All right, so the episode starts off with Wendy, and that is never a good thing. But it was fine because she was with her husband and her kids. I guess her son or sons. She got two sons. I can't remember. But they were doing like football practice, and she's there with her husband. I like him. He's fine. So he actually made the whole little exchange bearable. But she's talking to him about, yeah, she's like, yeah, I met with Peter. And he's like, yeah, that's your buddy. And I'm like, ooh, and, he's like, get to it. Get to what it is, the particulars, the money part. And she's letting him know it's like 1.2 million. And he's like, 1.2 who's? And I was like, oh, he's not playing. And so, yeah, he just told her. And she's like, well, first of all, she said, oh, I talked to Peter and he's looking to open another business and he liked my idea. My thing is, didn't Wendy come out saying that it's her, like she wants to open a place or whatever? Like, and she kind of went to Peter to see if he could help her out with like her place. But now we're learning that it wasn't her idea. She just wants to be, I guess, a silent partner. I don't know. Because she was telling her husband, well, he's like, well, how much of the 1.2 do you have to pay? 300,000. And he's like, And she's like, yeah, but I wouldn't be 50%, owner, which is good because I don't really have the bandwidth. And he's like, good thing you brought up the bandwidth because you already have enough on your plate. And we just went through this with the candles, even though he said, what is it? Oh, yeah, essentials or something like that, whatever it was called. And she's like, yeah, I know. Wendy can go. Yeah, I'm sorry. Wendy can go. This whole thing was nothing. Like, I just don't care. I felt like her husband was funny. The kid was funny. The little girl kept coming over like, hey, play with me. Play with me. She was being like very demanding. And it's funny the way the husband was looking at the kid like, what did she just say? But, she's telling her about the whole thing at Ashley's and the fact that Robin didn't want to invite the kids or whatever, and you don't really talk to kids like that, or it's not real. Not you don't talk to kids like that, but you don't involve the kids, and that's where she draws the line. Okay, fine, Wendy. They are definitely icing you out. So bye bye. So the funniest part about Wendy talking to her husband was when she was telling him that Robin didn't invite the kids. She was like, yeah, so she was inviting all the kids and she was basically like, and he was like, fuck them kids. And she's like, yeah, y'all, I died because I say it all the time. Listen, fuck them kids for real. Y'all know ever since Issa said it, it is just hilarious to me. But it's fact for a lot of kids. Like, I honestly don't like kids that's not in my family. I don't. I'm sorry. Like, I don't like to hear kids playing. I don't like to hear kids at restaurants. I don't like to really see kids. I'm just playing. Yeah, I'm really not. But that was funny because he seems like he has a good sense of humor. Then we get to Robin and Juan and their kids, and they're outside playing. Yeah, it seemed like a perfect day because it was very windy. And I felt like it was warm but windy, so you get a little bit of the air. And it was really, really windy. But that's cool because I'm from the Windy City, so we used to it. But they're out there doing some physical stuff, and when they're getting ready to do it, one of the sons was like, "Oh, hold on, let me get exactly what he said." Okay, that's what he said. Once they got in the sacks, they all getting ready to start. He looked over at his brother and like, "You're a world class bench player," and they all looked at him because it looked like it sounded like he said "bitch player," and they started laughing. And he's like, "What? Oh, that's what you thought I said?" And Juan is like, "Yeah, sound real close," like in the fatherly voice. And then this fool turns around and says, "I'm about to whoop y'all ass." I was like, "Oh, so if he did say the bitch word, I wonder where he got it from." Like, why would you just sit up and say, "I'm about to whoop y'all ass" to these little boys? But I mean, everybody talks to their kids differently. It's fine. So once they finished doing the little sack race or whatever, Robin did a horrible job. Even Juan, he finished, but he was like, "Ooh, I'm old. I'm out of shape." Well, he didn't say old. He said out of shape. But they go and sit down, and I'm very surprised. Juan is sitting down with her, talking to her, actually having a conversation. This is the second time this season, right? Juan is back, huh? Um, but they're sitting down. She's telling him that she got an idea. She didn't invite Wendy because she's not feeling Wendy. Wendy can fuck off. But her kids can come. So I think I'm going to call Candace and see if she could play the auntie and bring them. And I was like, girl, bye. Bye, Robin. Bye. Like, I can't even say nothing but bye because, girl, I wish I would. And he's like, "Oh, good idea." Then she's talking about what happened at the dance class and um, basically the whole thing with Giselle. And she asked him, "Well, do you think that?" Oh, and as she says it, he's like, Chris that cooked for them, Chris that basically the same thing that everyone has said. Chris that has been very inviting to them, very nice to them, very hospitable to them, and she's like, "Yeah, Chris." And then she's like, "Well, do you think he owes her, anything?" And Juan has the nerve. Well, I won't say has the nerve. It's his opinion. But he says, "Yeah, if it were me or whatever, I think if he made her feel uncomfortable, then yeah, I would probably say sorry or whatever." But Giselle's full of shit. I'm sorry. I feel like, yeah, if you're a man and you make a woman feel uncomfortable, definitely. So I would definitely not be sitting here, blaming the victim or the woman that was uncomfortable. But we all know Giselle is full of shit. Giselle is full of shit. He doesn't owe her anything. So we end all this madness with Robin calling Candace and asking her to play auntie and, tell Wendy that although you're not invited, sis, you can't come. Your kids can come though, and I'll take them. Like, even though I know that we're filming and normally we don't have anything to do with the kids, and Candace really won't be watching your kid because you barely watch your kid when you're filming. Yeah, let her bring them. Miss Candace, who I'm not gonna clown the fact that she doesn't have kids, but nobody's gonna do that shit. So anyway, she calls Candace. She asks Candace to play auntie, and Candace is like, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna work on that." And in the confessional, she's like, "Ain't no way." She's like, "Wendy's gonna tell me to go to hell, and she's gonna tell me to tell Robin to go even further, a little bit further down in hell." And I'm like, absolutely, because I was thinking she's gonna be like, "Oh, yeah, Robin can fuck right off with that," because to me she can. Are you kidding me? Don't invite me if my kid is not welcome. I mean, if I'm not welcome, don't invite my kid. But I get what she was trying to do, and she was trying to prove her wrong because later on in the episode, she's going to be like, "Oh, she didn't want the kids to come, so it's not about the kids. Ha ha ha." Girl, like Robin is being ridiculous this season. Well, I won't say ridiculous because I've been feeling her a little bit this season up until now. I knew it wasn't going to last. I knew it wasn't going to last. All right, next we have a really quick scene with Karen speaking to her daughter. Her daughter apparently went to the Met Gala. Great. She's talking to her about the fact that Ray didn't really love the boobies because she thought she was going to be a bad influence on her. And yeah, nothing much to see here. I mean, it was a cute little scene. It's always cute when she's talking to her kids or whatever, but it wasn't much. All right, next we get a scene with Ashley and her tiny, I was going to say tiny cottage, her tiny condo. and she's cleaning up, and then her publicist comes, but it's not only her publicist, it's her homegirl. But then they sit down and they're like, hey, what's been up with you? Like, how have you been? Like, they haven't spoken. And I'm like, does she work for you or no? I don't know. But they, Ashley talks about this statement that she wants to put out at some point because she wants what's his name, Michael, to be able to date and do whatever he wants to do and go to strip clubs and whatever, and she don't want people sending her pictures or whatever. So basically she wants everybody to leave her alone and let him cheat in public, like, with no problem. Leave her alone. Like, she don't have a problem with it. Ashley is definitely playing in our faces, y'all. Like, Ashley is playing with us because they're not getting a divorce or something. Like, we all know that something's going on. And I just think she still loves him. Ew. But the whole thing with, I just want to get Ashley out the way. Her talking later on about the fact that he wants to get a vasectomy because he feels like she's trying to get pregnant, and that's the reason why they're not still sleeping together. And I'm like, what the fuck? You still want to sleep with him? Like, you still want to sleep with him? And she's like, oh, it kind of makes me a little sad that having kids with him is just off the, would just be over. Girl, number one, she's still young. She could get remarried and have a kid with her new husband or whatever. Number two, you still want to sleep with him? I'm like, Anyway, later on, there's a whole thing where it comes out. She doesn't know who would tell because her circle is really small. And I'm like, yeah, but Giselle is in your circle. Robin's in your circle. Like, the people that you have in your circle that know your business, just think about it. But they decide to go ahead and put the statement out. She can't find Michael. He's not responding. He's not talking to her. And I'm like, remember when I said it's going to get ugly? Because Michael is a shitty person. Excuse me. He just is. And we knew that eventually this was going to get ugly. Once it got real, it was going to get ugly. And if it's real, I just still don't even believe it's real, y'all. I don't. I just think she's playing in our faces. But we gonna go with it. But yeah, Michael is not responding to her. He's not about her. All right, so now it's time for Robin's event, if we want to call it that. And Giselle and her daughter's on the way. Her daughter's name is Grace, y'all. Why she name her daughter Grace? Grace is an older lady. Why did she name her Grace? But I mean, she's a pretty girl. All of her daughters are pretty girls, but why she name her Grace? Anyway, so they talk about how the twins aren't there. They couldn't make it. And they're actually the most athletic. And she's like, yeah, I brought the wrong daughter. And I'm like, ugh. And then she backtracks and says, oh, but you're a good time, Grace, so it's fine. And I'm like, Giselle just be fucking up all the time. Like, that's how she does. Oh, wait, sorry for anyone who has the name Grace out there. It is a beautiful, beautiful name. Although I'm sure you are probably in your 30s, 40s, or 50s. I'm just kidding, y'all. Y'all play too much. All right, so Mia and G and their kids are on the way, and they're talking about her mom. And I thought she was about to shit on her mom once again. But then she turns it around and says she spoke with her aunt, and her aunt made perfect sense when she said when someone is addicted, they are kind of, I guess, at like arrested development pretty much until they are sober, and then it kind of picks back up. So she feels like her mom is stuck in like her 20s or 30s. And G is like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Um, that's a new one on me. So I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, I guess it could make sense, but I don't know. But she said they're in a better place, so that's all that matters. That's good. So yeah, we all go to this little terrible spot that what's her name? Robin has picked out. Okay, I'm jumping ahead, but it's a mess. Robin is a mess. So G asked if they had a conversation, if she and Candace had a conversation at the dance thing. And she said, well, I said hi to the ladies and she was included, so she can take that. And at first I was thinking, dang, why they don't get along? But then I remembered everything that happened last season. So yeah, I guess. So Mia and Gordon and the kids make it there. We find out that Mia's oldest son doesn't come because he said he has friends he would rather do that. And she's like, "Oh, I should have done what he did." Because she said Robin is regular and she has us out here in this field and she wasn't feeling it. She's like, "Damn, I should have set this one out like my son did." And I'm like, Mia ain't shit. Like all she want to do is clown people. Mia is not. Listen, she wasn't saying any of that to Robin's face though. I mean, she was just like, "Oh, okay," but it wasn't like, "Ugh, girl, what you got us doing?" Which I probably would have said. But I mean, she said family fun day. I guess she told them to wear stuff to, run around. So you had to have known it was going to be something where you're moving. So Mia beat it. But she also told G a story about Robin meeting her friend Jacqueline. So, of course, we know Jacqueline's going to be there because I guess Jacqueline is the newcomer on the show. They're kind of putting her in sparingly, so it's fine. Robin's sister-in-law to be comes, and oh wait, I just forgot all about Jacqueline, but we'll go back to her because her and her husband, I can't remember, something's up with them, but once I get to it, then I'll talk about it. But her sister-in-law to be comes, and her sister-in-law is like, "Where's Juan?" "Oh, he's nowhere because Juan's not here." Of course, Juan's not here. And Mia's like, "Oh, so thank God for G. He's like the only husband outside of, I guess, Jacqueline's PP, whatever that means. We'll get to it." But yeah, Juan apparently had a root canal or something, and he listen, y'all know Juan is not gonna do that much. I'm surprised that we've seen him twice already. So Mia's like, "Yeah, so I guess it's not a family fun day, right?" And I'm like, "You already know Juan don't fool with Robin. He don't really fool with her like that." Okay, so yeah, Jacqueline said that her and her husband, they're divorcing. However, he's her PP, her parenting partner. Okay. So okay. Um I will say that later on they get to talking to Ashley about her issues with Michael and the vasectomy thing. And of course, Ashley has everybody confused because she's playing in everybody's faces. And the lady's like, "Well, then why are you getting a divorce?" Like she sounds like she still love him. And she's like, "Oh, well, he wanted a threesome. He keep asking for threesomes." So we find out that Jacqueline has had threesomes, or either he's asked for threesomes or something. They ask if she's bisexual. She says she doesn't know what she is, but I guess she has done a little bit of everything. I don't know. Um, yeah, let's move on. So as they talk about the PP, Giselle in the confessional says PP in my mind means small penis, and I'm like, you could tell she not getting it because that's all she thinks about. Remember, Chris said she wanted to talk about was his brown penis, and no, nobody's referencing this man's penis, Giselle. But yet you have an issue with everyone's husband, but you want to reference their penis all the time. She didn't say anything about it, so let's let it go, Giselle. Jesus. Y'all, give this lady some, please. All right, y'all. I'm gonna wrap it up because not a whole heck of a lot happened in this episode. Giselle's daughter didn't really want to participate. She said she was the manager, works for me. They all did a terrible job. No, I'm just kidding. They played the games. It was fun. Everybody talked about how bootleg Robin is because the whole thing looked extremely bootleg. She had no gifts for the winners. It was just bragging rights or whatever. What's her name? Karen wasn't happy about the fact that Wendy wasn't invited. She was like, "You got to do better. Listen, I'm allowed to take a sick day. You got to do better. You can't be acting like that or whatever." But they laughed it off, so it was fine. Charisse came, and when she came, Karen suddenly got sick, and it was so funny because when she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to the car," and then she was like, "You know what? I'm gonna text you. All right, I'm out of here. Bye." I was like, "She's not coming back." So they end up telling Charisse that yeah, she did all that because she don't want to be around you. And then Giselle couldn't wait to tell her, yeah, when I talked to Karen, she was just like, "Oh, Charisse who? Charisse who?" And I'm like, Giselle ain't shit. She just really ain't. Um, I'm trying to think off the dome what else happened. Candace came. She looked super pissed off. Her wig, no ma'am. No, ma'am. I mean, it was holding up in all the wind, but it was a no, ma'am for me. And it was so funny when she got there and spoke to everybody. And was like, "Oh, hey, Grace," and walked past Giselle and said that Giselle could find the blackest part of her ass and kiss it. And I was like, "Yes, ma'am." And then Giselle in her confessional was like, "Yeah, Candace spoke to everybody but me." She thinks it's a joke. Like Giselle don't give a shit about nobody really, and she thinks it's a joke. She don't really care that Candace didn't speak to her. Like she thinks it's funny. The whole time Candace is speaking and talking about what Giselle did, and Giselle can kick rocks. Mia is sitting there making faces with her lips, and I can't think of anything else that happened. That's kind of it. They end off with the whole Ashley thing, and we already talked about it. They put out the statement. He's not answering her. Yada yada. Okay. So yeah, if you are still here, you are the real MVP. Thank you very much. You guys, follow me on Instagram. I was finally able to get my actual um page name to be, I guess you can call it a podcast. So I was able to switch it over and get it to be right now. So please look me up on Instagram. I guess you can call it a podcast and follow me. If you have not already, nope, I gotta say it right. Hold on. If you are still here, you are the real MVP. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. If you have not already, please consider subscribing. I am on the road to 500. And, well, I mean, y'all know I'm trying to get to 1,000 and more. But right now, small goals. We're going to get to 500. And we're almost there. And I am so freaking excited. So don't you want to be part of something big? Like it doesn't mean a whole heck of a lot to you, but it means the world to me. So please consider subscribing, like the video. It absolutely helps with the analytics, and I will see you guys in the next video. Smooches.